So, in the introduction to the report, the Children's Commissioner says this report should be read as a map of what rock bottom looks like. Not only is it now normal for children to have seen pornography before they have left primary school, it is now also normal for that pornography to be the most violent and extreme content available anywhere online. The problem is that pornography itself is extreme, and that there will always be ways around measures which limit access. The acts children see being depicted in online pornography are sometimes so extreme that they could not be legally published in offline formats like DVDs. The Children's Commissioner's Office, is concerned that even with the new rules, users will be able to circumvent restrictions through the use of virtual private networks, VPNs. Within a day of the new rules being in place, VPN use in the UK was platformed as an easy workaround. In other words, there were already increased use of VPN throughout the country in order to circumvent the rules. The Children's Commissioner's Office, their report back in 2023, said a lot of it is actually just abuse. It's normal for children to see online pornography. Full stop. It's normal. The majority, some 70% of respondents, had seen pornography online. It is also normal for children to see pornography before they start their GCSE. Analysis of the survey found that the average age children first saw pornography was 13, and over a quarter, that's 27% of the respondents, had seen pornography by age 11, which is primary school age. Boys were more likely to have ever seen pornography than girls. That's 73% for boys and 65% for girls. But of this group, more girls, that's 30%, had seen pornography by the age of 11 than the boys, where their figure was 35%. Their figure was 25%. Vulnerable children were also more likely to have seen pornography at an early age than their peers. A larger portion of respondents who had ever received free school meals had seen online pornography by age 11, that's 32%, compared to those who did not receive free school meals was at 21%. A larger portion of those with a social worker had seen online pornography by age 11, that's 34% of them, compared to those without a social worker, and that figure was 24%. A larger portion of those with special educational needs had seen pornography by the age of 11, that's 36% of them, and that compared to those without special education need, where their figure was 23%. A larger portion of those with a physical disability, that's 34%, a mental disability, 35%, or both, which was 40%, had seen online pornography by age 11, compared to those without any of those reported disabilities, where their figure was 22%. I was going to say just 22%, but a massive 22%, even so, without those disabilities. It bears repeating the fact that children are more likely to see pornography on social media sites than they are to seeing it on the dedicated porn sites. Very concerningly, they also are more likely to discover pornography by accident, where they are not actively seeking it out. If X, formerly Twitter, remains the most common source of pornography, other social media sites and companies are also showing up in the survey with their frequency of access. And it is high. Snapchat, 29%, Instagram, 23%, TikTok, 22%, and YouTube, 15%. The concern that social media sites are gateways to pornography was confirmed by a participant in the focus group that were surveyed. The majority of children are not seeking out pornography online. They stumble upon it. In a focus group within the children that were surveyed, the children told the team some of the reasons they thought children actively sought out pornography. And these reasons were driven by a desire to fit in, peer pressure, and also people who have been exposed to it thinking it's funny or cool and showing it to their friends, who are then showing it to others. And essentially, the belief that it's cool. One child did say that a reason why some people might go on to actively seek out porn is to find out more about what sex actually looks like. In a way, they can't do it normally with other people, or where they're not allowed to do it normally, they go seeking the knowledge, the information. But that is a much less percentage that are actually doing that. And what I am constantly coming across in my practice with adults is that when I look back at their access in childhood, the predominant way in which they got their sex education was peers exchanging the material, sometimes in the playground, and porn. Peers and porn was the form of sex education. Now, I always feed back to my clients that what typically therefore would have happened is they are carrying misinformation, sexual myths, wrong information about the male body, wrong information about the female body. But at a young age, when they dabble with sex and they do certain things that they've picked up from peers and the banter or from the porn, and they try it out and it seems to work, that becomes their normative way of practicing sex, even into adulthood. But it's often not accurate at all. And so, as a sex therapist, I am available to help them undo the wrong practices which they've been actioning and doing with their partners for years. There is a problem out there. And our youngsters accessing porn at such very young age, I am working with the 20-somethings, particularly men, who now have things like erectile dysfunction, lack of desire, because their brain has become sensitized to the body of their long-term partner, because of course for many years, I use this expression, they've been dining out on so many other female bodies that their brain no longer has the desire for their partner, so sex becomes more problematic. They become sensitized. Lift your head up. There are steps that can be taken, and as a sex therapist, I work with helping individuals to become desensitized from what has happened and go on to live a productive, healthy sex life. Change is possible is really what I'm saying to you, but it will need some help from a therapist, typically.